In this video, I'm going to talk about managing the levels that are turned on and off in our plan and profile sheets. So to get started, I have a sheet open with both plan and profile views, and the profile view is actually okay. So I'm going to focus on the plan view, but the procedure would be the same if I were turning on or off levels in the profile. So zooming in, I can see there's some levels here that I really don't want on my plan sheet. So I've got some survey, random elevation shot markers here. I've got this handle for my corridor graphics and also the template range graphic. It's also a graphic out here for my tie-in points of my template, my corridor modeling, and I don't need to see that line either. So the way this is configured, you do not make the changes in the sheet model itself. And the sheet model is going to reference the drawing model within the same file. So I'm going to go ahead and open the drawing model. And in the drawing model, I can see those levels are on as well. And you don't change it in the drawing model either. Where we're going to make changes is in the design model. So the sheet references the drawing drawing references the container file, which is in a design model, and then a container file references all the different base maps. So we're going to manage all of our levels from that container file for all the sheets. Now, this is done with a new configuration variable that ODOT added to their workspace in the May 2020 update to the standards. So if I go to the Files tab and go to Settings, Configuration, and Configuration Variables, I'm going to type in a search of sheet. It's going to show me all variables that have sheet in the name. So here's a new variable that was added in the 2020 Release 2 version of OpenRose Designer. MS level do not override design levels in sheet. And it's defined at the workspace level. So it's defined at the Ohio DOT workspace with a value of 1. So what that means is that when this is set to 1, the level properties of the design model and its references cannot be overridden in the sheet or drawing. So all the changes are made with the design model. So let's go ahead and take a look at how that works. So this is referencing my gp300.dgn. So I'm going to go ahead and open that file. It should be in my list. There it is. So in this file, I'm going to go ahead and turn off those levels that I don't want to see. Now, the profile view is fine. I could turn on or off levels there if I want. I'm going to focus on the plan view. So I'm going to go to the level display dialog, and looking at my survey information, I'm going to scroll down and I can see that survey random point is turned on. So I'm going to turn this off globally in this file. So I'll go ahead and turn that off, and I see those disappear. So let's turn off a couple other things. I'm going to turn off these in my corridor model file. So I'm going to come down to the KM001, and in this file I can see some levels I don't need default, don't need the corridor graphic, I don't need the range graphic, which is the template drop range, and I don't want this tie graphic. It's my tie to ground. So any other levels I wanted to turn off in the different files, I just go and turn those off. When I'm done, I'm going to save the file and save settings. So let's go back to my sheet file and verify that those changes have been carried through to both the drawing and sheet models. So here's the sheet model, and I can see that those changes have been carried through. I do see one thing that I missed, though. I see this is the triangle model boundary, and a little bit of it over there and here. So that should have been turned off as well. Let me verify that in the drawing model. So that's true here as well. So with this configuration, I would just go back and change that in the container file. So let me show you another option. Let's say you don't want to globally control all the sheets. And what I mean by that is, since that's a variable is defined at the ODOT workspace level, it's going to be defined for every work set. And just to verify the way this is working, I'm going to open another file. Let's open the 304 file. And we should see that those levels are turned off in that file as well. So they are, so that looks good. So that's the intended behavior, is that the container file would be the file that controls the level display for all the sheets. Now, for some reason, I wanted to do this on a per sheet basis. I need to make a couple of changes. So what I need to do is define that configuration variable at the work set level. So I need to exit and then reopen for that to take place. So let me first show you where that's defined. So here's where my work sets are located, and here's my configuration files. So if I open that configuration file for this work set, what I would need is the AMS level do not override design settings in sheet variable equals 0 to be defined for the work set. So I'm going to save that, and I'll exit and get back in so that variable is reread, and then we'll see how that behaves. Okay, so I'm back in OpenRoads Designer, and I've opened the GP303 design file. So let's take a look at how I can override the levels on an individual file basis now that I've changed that variable by setting it equal to 0 in the work set. So I'm not going to make this change in the sheet. I'm going to make this change in the drawing model. The reason I'm going to do that is because I want to keep my drawing model and sheet model in sync with each other. So the way ODOT has the references defaulted when you clip sheets with OpenRoads, if I look at the attached tools, they're set with display override set to never. Now this variable impacts the display of levels and reference file on-off status for nested references. So thinking about this, I'm in my drawing model, which references my container file, which references all the base maps. So there's some nesting there. So the level on and off status of those nested references is what this is controlling. So if I want to override this at the sheet level, I'm going to change this to always remember any overrides that I make. And I'm going to turn off this triangle boundary. So I could either do that by level display and drilling down through my references. So there's my container file. If I expand that, there's my field book, and I can turn off that 10 hall there. Or I could have just held down the right button and used the turn off by element option and just pick that. So now that I've turned that off in the drawing model, that should carry through to the sheet model. And I can see that it has, and that's because the sheet model is set to never, which means it's going to follow its file that it's referencing. So that's a way that you can go ahead and override the levels on individual sheet basis if you do not want to control the levels from the container file. So if you have any questions working with the levels on your sheets, feel free to contact the ODOT Office of CAD and Mapping Services.